there's a fan. Yeah, it's on. They have a fan up here. They don't want us fainting. Oh, wow. Hi, everybody. I'm going to take my glasses off, and I can't see you, but I can read. So I guess that's the more important part, right? Seems like the mic might not just be in the exact right location sometimes. So how's that?
Good.
Okay. Thank you. It was lovely to hear your reading, and thank you for the beautiful introduction, and for having me again, Janet. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'll be reading from my latest book, Save Your Prayers, Send Money. Yeah, it's cheeky, I know. I got in trouble with my auntie, who's Joe Witness, because she did not like that title. So we had a really good chat. I explained to her that I do pray, and I do believe in prayer, but it's about the fact that sometimes people need practical help, and that's not necessarily money either. It's poetic. It's a metaphor. Anyway, this is a book that it takes a lot of people to make a book come together. It's just not a one-person thing. So my publisher, Talon Books, has always been wonderful to work with, and they have a really great copy editor, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Katrina Strang did a second go, and holy cow, you think you found everything, and they find hundreds, and I'm not kidding you, hundreds of little things that they're not big things, but they notice the most minute things, and that's wonderful. And then I was able to get a grant from the BC Arts Council, which I'm very grateful for, and that allowed me to have Betsy Warland be my manuscript consultant. So when I wrote the book, I had this idea of how the book was going to be, and it was very, very tight, and I gave it to her, and she took a deep breath. She always takes a deep breath before she says something really important. You kind of know something really important is coming. And I can't remember the exact wording, but it was essentially that it was a little bit too tight and too neat and too tidy, and so I had to go back and the book had to erupt into something else. And the artwork is from Jacinda Oldale, and she was there for the writing of many of these poems because we're in a group called Writing from the Body. So it has 4 sections. It's looking at health from the perspective of being 71 years old, Indigenous woman, mixed blood, who had a traumatic background and intergenerational trauma, and the idea of how that might affect one's health, and also then being married to someone who's both aging and he's had a lot of illnesses. So it's looking at that stuff. And then the last chapter is more of what can bring joy to us. So the first section is called The Wounding, and I'll begin with a poem called The Grand Silence. Just a second. It begins with a quote from Jean Tallet, who wrote The Northwest is Our Mother, the story of Louis Riel's people. So the Métis were not Indian enough to be acknowledged as having land rights, and were too Indian to benefit from any policy other than slum clearance. One thing was certain, they were not wanted in the city. So we kind of got shoved around all over the place because we didn't actually have a place that was ours. And so we would stay on the side of the road or at the edge of the city and set up our own little town, and then they decide that they want that land, and then we'd have to move. And our houses were burned down. Many different things happened with us as we tried to figure out where we should live. So we clung to the edges, to each other, on roadsides. Some fled to Montana. Turtle Mountain, no matter where we landed, we were not welcome. I should have a trigger warning. Parents warned their children to never touch us. My uncle heard them say, "Don't put your coat by the Indian kid's coat." Years later, he took a gun to his head. My cousins remember. We all remember. We all have paid the price. I love that uncle so much. And this book has little pieces of prose that follow some of the poems. And it speaks to current day things that are similar to some of the old things that have happened. So to this day, land and water are seen as valuable commodities and brown bodies disposable if in the way. As of June 11, 2025, and since October 7, 2023, over 55,000 residents of Gaza have been killed, half of them children. Those that remain have been left to starve, some are wounded without medical attention. Many more die every day, and the world watches while Trump speaks destruction, calls it developing the land. He would like to see a big, beautiful resort in Gaza. If he gets his wish, there will be tourists suntanning on soil soaked in blood, and the displaced will have nowhere to go. So this is a story that's been going on forever in so many different communities. And the harm it causes, and I think of the harm it causes to our mental health and also to our bodies, of course. So we'll go to the second chapter. This is a bit of a cheeky book at times. It's called Have You Tried Yoga? And if any of you have any illnesses, you have probably heard that. And there's nothing wrong with yoga. But it's just that you just don't want to hear it every time you tell someone that you have an illness. And it's not necessarily the answer to everything. So this poem is called It's Complicated. The thirst for honesty became a twinge between bones made brittle by lack. Osteo offered as explanation, big toe pain, orthotics, feet inflamed, Achilles tendon, calcification in neck unheard of, or simply rare. No treatment offered. Silenced again and again, making it necessary to swallow big gulps, air bubbles, all that was dismissed, traveling bowels, impacted, until I threw up every day for 30 days. Test revealed esophagus burning red becomes a concern. Acute diagnosis, misdiagnosis. Something missing, stings, shows up in other places. Sores in mouth, places I shall not name. Swelling, so much swelling, until CBD, an answer to an allergy, expensive. Diets offered as first defense against the enlarging. Next comes the cascade of online suggestions. Have you tried yoga? Lemon cleanses, turmeric. I have a friend who was cured. She saw a shaman in South America. There was a ceremony. Ayahuasca, an answer you can't afford. I don't tell them that I once laid in a bed with chakra-colored pen lights created by a man of faith, John of God, celebrated con man, sexual predator, a healer with many followers. Desperate to be healed, we all prayed, longed to be made worthy of wellness so that everyone would know we did try hard enough. So in the world of cures and possible cures, there's things that do work, obviously. Some of them are too expensive and out of reach, and some of them are not for you.